No.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I mean, it gets integrated into every aspect of life.
Right. And that that's kind of what we saw with Hayek. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
they have to have this collectivist idea of morals and rules for the entire society.
Right.
Because if you don't, you lose power.
Yep. Exactly. And it even gets to like the more like less intense examples would be like, collectivization of the arts, right? So like Soviet Russia, Stalin produces a bunch of paintings. You also have the press, right? You have the collectivization of the press. There's a official state-sponsored newspaper, state-sponsored films. The only films you can see are Soviet-approved films.
Right.
Even something like Nazi Germany's the Olympics. They have the Berlin Olympics. In what year? I can't remember. 1930s.
36 or 38, maybe?
I think it's
37?
36.
Okay.
But, and there's this whole sort of propaganda thing that's produced out of that, sort of like equating the Olympics and Nazi Germany, the Nazi ideal, all this kind of stuff, the Aryan race. So not to apologize for my long
it's
tirade.
all good. It's all good. I wanted to talk about this stuff because, again, it's not just talking about ideas here. These things have happened.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to stress that over and over again. We don't have many people left who fought the Nazis. Like
who suffered under them.
Under them, right? We don't have many left of that generation. And anytime throughout history, a generation who went through something insanely difficult like World War II, once they die out, you better look out, because if you don't hold on to the reality of what happened, then you're bound to forget and you're bound to walk right back into it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things like Holocaust historians right now are the most concerned with, because there's only a handful of survivors left. And so there's a big sort of concern within that community of like, how do you make this like real to people? Because it's a lot easier when you meet someone like I met, like as someone who's met a Holocaust survivor.
Wow.
Like you would never forget that experience because like you see someone, you like see the number tattooed on their arm, and it becomes like a visceral experience of like, you see someone who is like this sufferer under oppression, which we haven't gotten there yet.
No.
But we're basically there. So
I was going to say, I think we're covering oppression quite well.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. And I think that the phrase should take a deeper root into our gut. Never again.
Yeah.
Not just never again to the Holocaust. May God forbid that from ever happening again, but never again to this kind of tyranny.
Yeah.
Like never again let this happen. Right?
Yeah.
So that brings us to our next part.
After all that.
Yeah, after all that.
Cheery, wonderful.
How is it happening today? Is it happening today? And I believe it is. And I think it's happening in the U.S. Like tyranny is on the rise. I'm not saying Nazism on the rise. I'm not saying Sovietism is on the rise, but tyranny is on the rise.
Sure. And we're not I think one of the biggest things is like the byproducts of tyranny, like of the oppression, is not there yet. Right. Like we live relatively very cushy lives.
When I say on the rise, and I appreciate you saying
let's make sure we define that.
I'm saying like the groundworks and the seeds are being planted that if we're not careful as a society, we can walk. I say we can because it doesn't have to happen.
Yep.
But we could walk back into a situation, and may God forbid it. So how is it happening? What are some of the new promises that are being made by, collectivist ideologies out there? Well, fix the environment, fix the economy. And again, not wrong with doing any of those. Fixing COVID, not wrong with fixing COVID. But how?
Yeah.
Are you
and
promising?
Who is fixing it?
Who's fixing? Are you promising unachievable things? Are you promising ultimate, absolute things? Or are you saying, hey, let's us as a people put a just weight and measure. Let's get a good standard, a monetary system that is good and just for everyone. Is that your fix the economy? Is your fix to the environment like, hey, let's go back to the principles of being a good steward of our dominion over the earth And what does that look like?
Yeah.
Or fixing COVID. Hey, let's hear some truth about this and stop bending it left and right, backwards and forward all the time on us that we can't trust what you're saying.
To fit your political agenda
To
and
fit your agenda
goals.
To have power, right? So all these types of things, some of these promises, it's not that these things aren't real issues, but be so careful who you're listening to fix these things, right?
Sure.
So another thing that's being done, another seed of tyranny that we got to watch out for, is something called public-private partnerships. And this is the idea that government offers grants and subsidies and or contracts to those companies. So they're going through private companies. So they'll offer these grants, these subsidies or contracts to those companies that will conform to the standards and agendas set by who's ever in a bureaucracy. And if those companies will not conform or comply, then they don't get the subsidies, they don't get the contracts, they don't get these grants. So this is how the government, and specifically leftists, because the long march through the institutions that the cultural Marxists said needed to happen is happening. And you have a lot of leftist ideologies in our bureaucracy, the administrative state. So they're the ones pushing, hey, what the agenda is. Like, if you'll agree with our agenda for, I don't know, promoting transgenderism and these types of things, promoting abortion, if you'll promote these leftist ideologies, we'll give you the contract, we'll give you the subsidies, we'll give you the grants, right? So that's what the laws won't do it because people are going to freak out about laws. But if we just get them to agree to this, it's this underhanded, I'll call it bribery, that these administrative agencies are getting leftist ideologies into all the systems, especially education, by means of you don't get the contract, you don't get the grant, you don't get the subsidy unless you agree with this.
Yeah. I mean, money talks oftentimes a lot more than policy does.
Yeah.
And so if you have a government who is able to utilize that as a tool of influence,
right,
it's probably something that you should consider whether or not that's okay.
Right. And so be watching out for public-private partnerships and do research. I've looked at some companies I thought about working for, found out that they were all into this, and I was like, I'm not going to go work for that company.
That's good to know.
That's my conviction, though.
Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do for your family.
Yeah.
Right. But seriously, pay attention to where these lines are, what's going on behind the scenes, because honestly, public-private partnerships, that's fascism by its definition. I'm not trying to throw scare tactics or anything like that out there, but if you look at the hardcore what fascism is, by just the definition, it's just it's the same thing under a different name.
Right. It's like the collectivization of commerce and trade and stuff like that.
Oh, you can own your own business. You're going to do what we say.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
So another way we're seeing tyranny on the rise right now is in the cancel culture. So we've said this a couple of times already, but this goes back to Hayek's step that collectivists must have rules and morals for the entire society that they all have to abide by. Because if you don't agree, then you get canceled or lose your freedom of speech, get deplatformed, get demonetized, I think is the word, the phrase.
It is.
Etc. You name it. So you are free to speak in this type of culture as long as it's what the powers that be want to hear.
Yeah. Now, do you think that this is like something that we see that is sort of like institutional with the specific example of cancel culture? Do you think that's like a byproduct of institutional tyranny, or do you think that's just more sort of like the preeminence of like social Marxism, like the idea that we need to like socially like what's the right word, sort of like condition people? Yeah. Like is social conditioning, or do you think it's like actual institutional? Like,
I don't think it's institutional, right? This is not like public-private partnerships, though it might be played in there. But by and large, cancel culture is coming from these ideologies, culture Marxism, collectivist ideologies that are the the loudest minorities.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're offended, or oh, we don't like that, or oh, hey, Google, you need to, or YouTube, you need to deplatform them, or whatever it is,
Right.
Whatever it is. So yeah, I don't think it's like institutional in the sense of like the public-private partnerships, though. I think that's used in that. I think this is more of just in general the ideologies that are out there that are trying to get traction and have been successful, honestly.
Sure.
So the last two things we wanted to look at that how this is happening is wokeism, and that is a social Marxism with inclusiveness is one of their main tenets. And this is not like inclusiveness of just everything, just everybody, right?
It's everybody that they feel like including.
Right. And it's usually including anything that and everything that has honestly traditionally been seen as bad or wrong. It's almost like they just, how far can they go with going against what is traditionally be seen as the right way, the good way, And then the other part of that is equity, but this is not a biblical idea of equity of equal treatment under the law, but this is rather equal outcomes. So also known as everything that wokeism is also known as everything that is leftist ideologies, right?
Tends to be more far leftist ideologies.
Far leftist, yes. So, and this is just more of that moral rules of the new collectivist totalitarian. And finally, the last part here, and yeah, this part, the bureaucracy, right? The administrative state is made up of unelected officials who have the power to make rules and regulations that have the force and power of law. That if the people break these rules and regulations, then they can be fined or jailed. And I think that our founders would have rolled in their graves at the idea of this. And I want to make a point here. There are things that are good, and I would even say line up with biblical things that the administrative state could potentially fulfill, right? The protecting of food, the FDA in some things, protecting children from applesauce poisoned with lead, which is something recent that's happened. Great.
All right. Makes sense.